Hi, hello, it's your girl Tiana here, back at it again for another video, and today we're talking about Sister Sister. So like when Netflix first announced that they were bringing all of these black shows onto their site, and that we were gonna be able to stream some of these shows like in full for the first time, so it was gonna be like the first time for a lot of like really important shows for black girls and women that will be like accessible to a new generation of girls and women coming up. All of these shows that were supposed to be on there, Girlfriends, Half and Half, Moesha, One-on-One, The Parkers, Sister Sister are all shows that I watched like as a kid, and like I watched the reruns because, you know, I'm a bit young to have watched some of these shows live, but I did watch the reruns. When I was a kid, they played all the time, especially on the end. For whatever reason, the end used to always have Moesha on. Like, I did watch Girlfriends live. I do very vividly remember watching Girlfriends and like sneaking up to watch it. And it's also kind of how I got into shows like Charmed and Veronica Mars, because they came on the same channel, so I would see like previews for those shows. So my love of Girlfriends got me into Veronica Mars. So I watched all those shows growing up. I really loved them, and I was super excited when Netflix announced that the shows were going to be on Netflix soon. Now, Sister Sister was not a show that I hated. I did like Sister Sister. I remember loving Tamara and loving the show and being like laughing at it. And there are episodes where I'm like, oh my god, you remember the episode of Sister Sister Win, and you remember the episode when Sister Sister Win. So I didn't have any negative feelings towards it. It was just mostly like indifferent. Like if Sister Sister wasn't included in the shows that got put up there, I probably wouldn't have felt no type of way about it. But because it was, I was like, okay, cool, I'll rewatch Sister Sister. Y'all, why did I rewatch Sister Sister? It's like bad. Like, it's really bad, and it's not even bad in a fun way. Like, some shows I have rewatched and I've been like, this was a bad show. Like, I remembered this show being completely different. Like, when I rewatched Charmed, I loved Charmed as a kid. As an adult, I'm like, the animation, some of the storylines, it's so problematic, but it's still fun to watch. But like, overall, I enjoyed my experience of rewatching Charmed, right? With Sister Sister, it's bad in a way that it just feels like thrown together, sloppy and lazy. And like, I don't know, because people talk so much about the 90s and that period of time of black television where you had all these great shows, you had, you know, all these great sitcoms, I should be specific. And you know, you have Martin, you had Fresh Prince, you had Sister Sister, you had Moesha, you had everything from like Malcolm and Eddie to like My Brother and Me. Like, it's all kind of different like genres of sitcoms, and there were so many different kind of black characters on TV, and people talk so like highly of that time period. I can remember being able to turn on the TV and seeing people who look like me on a show like about a black girl, and you know, that's not relatable content. When I turn on shows that purport to have black girls on them now, they don't look like me. I'm not the genre of black girl that's popular now, which is like, whatever. I mean, it's racist and problematic, but whatever. This is not a video about that either. Sister Sister is so weird in the way that it's done, and I don't know if it's because they wanted to give us a white sitcom with black characters, or if I'm just being too hard on it. So here's my issues with Sister Sister, and I just want you to tell me if I'm being too hard on Sister Sister, if I'm putting too much of a 2020 lens on the show, or if it really was that bad. So my first and number one biggest issue is the writing. First of all, Jackie is carrying the show on her back. Like, she's doing all the comedy. I do think that I cannot remember what his real name, but Ray, the actor who plays Ray, I do think that he very funny, and I do think that they have a great chemistry together. I saw a lot of people saying that sisters that Tia and Tamara were bad actors. Then I don't think they were bad actors. I do think that Tamara was better at comedic acting than Tia was, but as the seasons got better, I think she also got better and got more comfortable, and that's just probably has more to do with them being very young when they started the show and being child actors and learning how to act while we're watching them versus experienced actors who've done this for a while and already know certain things. But the writing on the show it very much is given Boy Meets World, which makes sense because I'm pretty sure it originally aired on ABC, and the vibes are very much like it's just very childish and very wholesome, but not like in a fun way, like in a homeschool way. Like it's giving very much homeschooled vibes. It's giving Christian Bible school vibes. That's not really fun for me to watch. Like certain storylines that you would like see on literally any other show of that type, they're super sanitized and super like childish in a way that doesn't make sense for the age that they were supposed to be. Like they start off at 15, and they don't get any real boyfriends that matter or have like any sort of stake to them until they're 17, which is 5 seasons later. I just want to, like, they were 15 in the first episode, and I'm in season 5 now, and they just had their 17th birthday. So for 5 seasons they've been the same age, and you can see that they drastically look different. Like they probably actually were 15 when the first season aired, and then now 5 seasons later they're very clearly like 20, which is like whatever, it doesn't matter. So I did want to jump in to say, because I didn't make it clear what I was talking about when I recorded this, I don't just mean like the dating thing. I do realize they did go on a lot of dates, and they did date a lot when they were teenagers. They did have like boyfriend storylines, which was fine, but I mostly just mean like the way that they dealt with those relationships and the way they dealt with the friendships. The storylines that they told in each episode were very childish. Like they didn't deal with stuff that normal teenagers, I would think, of that age would be going through. And this might be because the shows that I watched when I was a teenager was like Degrassi. So like I was expecting, or I would think that kids would be talking about things that actually like were relatable to me when I was that age. But they didn't, like, we didn't get a body image episode. We didn't get an episode about peer pressure. We didn't get it. Like, even Full House gave us episodes about peer pressure. Like, I just felt like there's so many topics that you normally would see in a teen show that they just didn't give us. And I feel like it's, like, indicative of the kind of programming that Disney wrote. And also another thing about the writing that I didn't quite make clear, when I say that it was giving like homeschool, and what I really just mean is that it seems like it was white people writing black characters. Like I don't know what the writing room looked like. I'm not gonna look it up because it doesn't really matter. But to me, it just felt like it was a very white show. Like it was giving written by white people. Like that's the only way I can really word it. It was giving colonizer. It doesn't feel like real teenagers would be talking like this, that real teenagers would feel like this. And like I hate to compare it to Moesha, but like Moesha was like a goody who was like very much a Christian and like went by the rules, but the show itself didn't feel childish because they were not pretending like at 15, 16, 17 years old she wasn't going through the things that typical 16, 17-year-olds, like they had a very much a purity lens over it, a very much Christian lens over it, but it wasn't it didn't feel like a 12-year-old. Like, she didn't feel like they were writing for a 12-year-old. I just don't like it. It's very childish. It's just not for me. But outside of the fact that the writing is childish, the writers don't care about consistency. They don't care about canon. They don't care about watching the show. And those are the type of things that make me mad when I'm watching the show, because if you don't care enough about your show to make sure that you're not contradicting yourself within episodes, then it makes me feel like, why should I care? Why am I watching this show if you don't even care enough to look back and see when, like, the information you set up? And it's not even like, because there was one thing that was blatant, like the episodes that I was watching last night. Like I said, I'm in season 5, and Tamara asked Tia in one of the episodes, do you remember when we were in 8th grade and we were in the spelling bee and blah, 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 blah. However, the first episode, the pilot episode, the most important episode of the show that set up this whole thing, says that they are 15 and in the 9th grade. They did not know each other in 8th grade. So how would Tia remember something that happened to Tamara when they were in 8th grade if they did not know each other in 8th grade? Like, that's the blatant stuff where it's like, it's been so many seasons, so maybe you forgot that that's how the storyline started. But it's also like, that's literally the plot of the show, that they met when they were 15 years old. So like, you can't now, 5 seasons later, be like, remember when blah, blah, blah happened, because it's like, no. And I guess for a lot of these shows, the concept of binging did not exist, but you have other stuff where it's like, in one episode, Tia is on, like, dating this boy, and then the next episode she's crying about how she's single, and then in the episode after that, Tamara sets her up on a date with somebody else, and then the episode after that, she's back dating the boy from that first episode. And it's like, do you watch the show? Like, do you know what the story, like, if you were watching this week to week, would you be able to follow along with with the story they're trying to tell? Like, I would much prefer they make the episodes, like, I forget what the word is, but like, when whatever happens at the beginning of the episode, and then it ends, like, basically in the same place, so that each episode, you just, like, the story is self-contained. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I would rather you do that than try to have arcs, but not pay attention to the arc that you're setting up. And also changing the character of the boyfriend. Like, you had Wesley as her boyfriend in one episode, and then 4 episodes later it's a different dude playing the same character with the same name, or at least I'm assuming it's supposed to be the same character, they have the same name, but like, who knows, because the continuality is just, it's not there, which makes the show hard to follow. And it's like, and like, I don't even mind the fact that they use the same actors over and over. Like, Wesley played like 50 different characters on that show. The dude from the Temptation movie and Trey Wiggs from the game, he was on there like 5 different times as 5 different characters. Like, they did that similarly on Moesha. Ray J played, I think, 3 different characters, or 2 different characters before he played Dorian, and then Wesley was also on there. I think he played 2 characters, and like, so I'm not mad about that. But like, it's just like, have some continuality. Like, act like you watched the show, you followed along with the plot, and you know the story that you're telling. Like, it just feels sloppy. It feels like unplanned. It feels like they were going in day to day and deciding they cared more about what they wanted the episode to be about versus telling a story of the seasons. I also feel like they didn't really get their footing on what they wanted the show to be until season 5. And I will say that I'm not finished rewatching the show, so like, maybe it gets better later, but like, up until season 5, it's like all over the place. Like, they'll have some episodes where they want us to believe that the story is this thing, or they want us to believe that these are the type of stories that they're telling, and then they'll have a random episode or something that doesn't fit or it feels disjointed, and then I'm like, okay, are you doing something else? Like, like, I don't want to keep comparing it to Moesha, but like, I could write you an episode of Moesha, because it had certain beats, it had certain vibes. Like, you always knew that this was what, and like, some people don't like that. some people don't like for the shows to be predictable, but like I like to know what I'm getting into. Like if you're gonna be unpredictable, if you're gonna like change format, or if you're gonna make it weird or strange or like do whatever, at least do it in a way that's interesting. Like it's boring and inconsistent, and I just can't. You can't have it both ways, baby. You have to pick a struggle. And then the biggest thing, and the thing that really hurts me the most, is the fact that I hate Tamara. I hate Tamara as a character. I feel like she is the worst friend. She is the worst sister. She is the worst person to everybody in her life. Like, she is so obnoxious and selfish. She never cares about anybody else but herself. It's just so hurtful to me personally, because I love Tamara as a character a lot. When I was a kid, she was my favorite, and while I don't like Tamara in real life because her politics don't align with mine on a lot of different things, and really The Real was the worst thing that ever happened to me, because no, I lied. The Tia Tamara reality show, y'all should go back and watch that. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but y'all should go back and watch the Tia Tamara reality show, because that made me hate Tamara, and then The Real made me hate Tamara more. But The Real made me hate everybody on that show who I used to really like. Like, I liked Jeannie until The Real. I liked Adrian. I was obsessed with Adrian Vellon as a kid. I like loved 3LW. I loved the Cheetah Girls. Like, if you know anything about me, you know I love the Cheetah Girls. Like, and the show just made me hate her. And even Lonnie, I loved Lonnie, and it made me hate her. The only person that came out unscathed was Tamar, and that's only because she probably left the show too early for me to really start to hate her. And also, I didn't have strong feelings about Tamar before I watched her on The Real. But yeah, I hate the Tamara character, like, because Tia, I feel like Tia, and this is probably part of the reason why I don't like her, but I feel like Tia reminds me so much of myself. And like, she's somebody who cares a lot about honesty. She cares a lot about like doing the right thing, being a good person. And she's very smart. She's very, I don't know if I would necessarily call her an introvert, but I just feel like she's just more introspective. She thinks through stuff. She's not as impulsive. And I feel like I relate a lot to that character. But people always loved Tamara because Tamara is the more outgoing, the friendly, or whatever. But she's just so mean to everyone, and she's very selfish. And then the episode that I watched last night, which I feel like they intended for us to feel bad for Tamara, because the plot of the episode was basically that Tamara, that Tia was getting her college acceptance stuff, and because Tamara was like the dumb one, or the one who wasn't as smart or academically gifted or didn't care about school or whatever the storyline was supposed to be for Tamara, that she was like sad that everybody was giving Tia all this praise for all of her hard work, but people were like ignoring her accomplishments or the things that she had going. Like, she had made a B on a test for the first time, I'm assuming, and she wanted to show her parents, but then Tia runs in and she had an acceptance to a college. And then Tamara was going to tell her family that she was going to take going to college seriously, and that she was doing some extracurricular activity that was going to help her get into college. And when she was trying to tell them, then Tia found out that she didn't get into Harvard. So everybody was consoling Tia, and Tamara was like trying to have a conversation with Tia about doing something. I can't even remember. But Tia was like, I'm upset because, you know, I didn't get into Harvard. And Tamara was like, basically trying to guilt her or make her feel bad for being upset about not getting into Harvard by saying that she like might not get into college at all, so she should be grateful that she got into the colleges that she got into. And it's like, yeah, she should be grateful that there were other colleges. Like, not getting into Harvard is a sad thing, but if you were applying to Harvard and honestly believed that you were going to get into Harvard, then you probably applied for some other schools and did get into those. However, you're allowed to be upset, because Tia had been saying since season one of the few continuality things that they kept she's been saying since season 1 she was going to Harvard, that she wanted to go to Harvard. So now that we're in this 5th season and she's applying to colleges, and this is the college that she wanted to get into and she didn't get into it, like, she's allowed to mourn that. She's allowed to be upset or sad or cry about not getting into the college that she had wanted to get into since she started high school. And it has nothing to do with you not being able to get into college, because if you wanted to get into college, you could have did the same work that Tia did. You could have been studying. You could have cared more about your job. Like, you had every opportunity to get the same grades that Tia got. Tia, this is a whole different thing, but I don't personally believe that. There's some people who are gifted at certain things, right? But most people who are good at something are good at it because they work at it. If you want to go to college and you're a middle class girl who goes to a decent school, like, who has access to anything that you would need, there's nothing that's preventing you from going to college but your own work ethic. Like, Tamara was not dumb. We don't see that she had any sort of learning disability. We didn't see that she had any sort of issue with comprehension. We just saw that she was lazy and she cared more about, like, the social aspect of high school than the academics. If she wanted to be on the same plane as Tia, if she wanted to be looking at colleges like Harvard, if she wanted to get into a good school, then she could have done the work to get there. And if she did need help, she had access to get that help. Her father, we're supposed to believe, has money, so she could have gotten a tutor. She could have gotten help with the SATs. She could have did whatever she wanted to get into whatever school that she wanted. It's not Tia's fault that she was successful at what she was working towards. And it just annoyed me that the whole episode was sort of building for us to feel bad for Tamara, only to, like, bring us back up with the fact that she got into the school that she was working towards. But it's like, it kind of annoyed me, because it was like, okay, Tia has been working for 4 seasons to get into her dream school and she did not get into it. However, Tamara picked one episode and did one extracurricular activity, and now she got into the same school that Tia got into, and they're going to go to college together. And I get the purpose of that, and so the show doesn't end. They go to college together. And the college years of Sister Sister, in my memory, are so much greater than the high school years. So I'm hoping that that is what happens. The show gets better once they get to high school. But it's like, Tamara's aggravating. She's so aggravating. I hate that character. Like, and I hate that we're meant to like her. Like, it would be different if the character was bad and we were supposed to hate her. Like, if it was given, like, Paris from Gilmore Girls, where we're not meant to think that Paris is a good person. Like, we understand that her friendship with Rory is a little bit toxic. That's not the vibes that we get from Tamara. Like, Tamara, we're supposed to believe that Tamara is just the fun one, and that she's pushing Tia to get out of her comfort zone, to do things that she is, like, more uncomfortable doing. But it's just aggravating to watch, because she's just not nice. She's not mean. I mean, she's very mean, and she keeps putting Tia into situations that are harmful to her, that she never wanted to be in the first place, you know? But I don't know. Those are my thoughts. If you agree, put it in the description. Like this video if you like this comment, and I'll see you in the next one.